What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours. We do have some huge topics to discuss. Firstly, our first summer signing is pretty much on track and not guaranteed quite yet, but pretty much guaranteed. Joan Garcia, huge updates on his advancements and how Barcelona have taken the lead in the race, with Fabrizio Romano confirming that a confirmation of the deal is expected at some point this week. Of course, alongside a goalkeeper, the priority for Barcelona this summer is to reinforce the left wing position. As of right now, Deco's favorite is Luis Diaz. He has Marcus Rashford as a close second, but we now have some options, other options as well, in Gabriel Martinelli, Kingsley Coman. We also have some updates around Nico Williams as well. So we'll discuss that whole left wing carfunkel as well, with no number one priority quite clear yet. But again, discussions around that is still very valid. We also have big sale update. Firstly, on Marc-Andre Ter Stegen with Joan Garcia, or some new goalkeeper coming in. The future of Ter Stegen is very much in limbo, and he's also spoken in the media about his future. We'll discuss that as well. We have other future updates as well on Lewandowski, on Araujo, on Torre. Huge update on the sale of, permanent departure of Clement Lenglet. Some general news update around the club as well about the shirt sales this season, how big they've been, how historic they've been. And finally, on our Joan Gamper opponent, as of right now, the most likely team and the favorites is Como, of course, the team that's coached by Fabregas. They have, of course, Sergio Roberto in their team as well. He'll be his first game back at the Spotify Camp Nou, but something like Como will be the first opponent for Barcelona once the new Spotify Camp Nou opens again. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below, and let's try and get to 200 likes on this video. It would be very much appreciated. Also, if you are new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past 48 hours. Again, the first topic is going to be around Joan Garcia, which seems to be the main priority for Barcelona right now due to his release clause and the amount of interest in him as well. So much new to discuss, and it has been developing very well on the side of him joining Barcelona. A huge signing, hopefully to take place at some point this week. Now, firstly, Fernando Polo has come out in Mundo Deportivo saying that Joan Garcia has not ruled out Barcelona despite multiple chances to do so, and will meet with his agent this weekend to review offers. The club is confident he will say yes. Barcelona have offered him a 5-year deal, a chance to win trophies, play in the Champions League, and become an international player for Spain. Gerard Romero said that we've been told that a few days ago Joan Garcia is more inclined towards accepting Barcelona's offer than rejecting it. Rosellero of Mundo Deportivo came out saying that despite several clubs being interested, Barcelona are in the best placed position to sign Joan Garcia. The player and his camp greatly appreciate Barcelona's effort to sign him. A final decision is expected soon. If Joan says yes, Barcelona will trigger and pay the full 25 million euro release clause this week. A lot of people say that, oh, do we have the release clause? Look, it's 25 million. If we have, I think, according to what I've seen, what I've heard, there is maybe around 90 to 100 million to spend this summer. Taking away, of course, player sales, Victor Roque money, hopefully from those loan players as well. There's about 100 million to spend, so 25 of that shouldn't be an issue. Ben Aid came out saying that within Barcelona, they consider the few weeks that strengthening the goalkeeper position is a necessary matter. Barcelona is waiting for Joan Garcia's response and will not stop monitoring the market if the response is negative. This has been very clear. They want Joan Garcia. They're doing everything they can to get him. If they don't, they still will go for another goalkeeper. Goalkeeper is a top priority for them. Then Raccoon came out with the big news saying that Barcelona are very confident that Joan Garcia will accept their offer very soon. After that, the floodgates started to open. Firstly, Candecer came out saying that everyone within Espanyol believed that Joan Garcia was going to England, and that's the information everyone had. However, these past few days of waiting are tense, and some are starting to have doubts. Ben Aid also came out saying that they'll keep their eye, of course, on the market. Then Gerard Romero did confirm, of course, from Mundo Deportivo, the meeting between Joan Garcia and his agents to decide his future. He mentioned, I believe this was on Friday, that Joan Garcia had lunch with his agents, but so they didn't make up their minds yet. They reviewed all the offers on the table, including some strong pushes from Premier League clubs like Bournemouth and Barcelona and some teams in Italy, and they will decide when the time is right. So that meeting did happen, of course, Friday. They did not make any decision in that meeting. They were assessing all their offers. Now, the day after the meeting on Saturday, boy oh boy, did the floodgates open. Firstly, Sport came out saying that Barcelona have identified, of course, Joan Garcia as their main target for next season. If they manage to sign him, the club plans to put their stake up for sale and make Joan Garcia their number one goalkeeper. Then it all went hell loose. Santi Ona of Foot Mercado was the first to confirm it, saying that Joan Garcia is expected to give the green light to Barcelona. Barcelona are very optimistic that they will be able to sign him and he'll become their #1 goalkeeper. Fabrizio Romano then confirmed as well the agreement between Barcelona and Joan Garcia on a long-term deal is now advanced and almost done. Negotiations are underway for the Spanish goalkeeper within the club, and the club is confident that they'll get the green light in the coming days, and Barcelona want to complete the agreement as soon as possible, also anticipating big interventions from Premier League clubs. Jonathan Mayer then came out saying that not rushing things is good. The good thing is that Joel's two agents are going in a positive direction with Barcelona, which Andre Barba wasn't very convinced about a couple of days ago. He was betting more on the Premier League, and a tense, calm holds now. Ben Jacobs came out saying that Joan Garcia has agreed terms with Barcelona, who plan to trigger his €25 million release clause. Arsenal, Villa, United had all had their Garcia on the radar, but Barcelona now the front runners. Mateo Morito came out saying that Barcelona have been working quietly for the past few days. The agreement between Barcelona and his agents is almost finalized. Garcia asked for guarantees, especially from the Sporting perspective, which both Deco and Flick consistently have expressed their confidence in him. Barcelona is accelerating and wants to get ahead of Premier League clubs. The player's final decision will be announced soon, and Joan Garcia did not see that the Barcelona option very clearly and talked about it with Espanyol. He wasn't convinced about Barcelona and had doubts, and Joan is now open to everything. Barcelona has moved well. Deco and Flick gave him guarantees that he wanted to hear. Finally, Fernando Polo of Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona is convinced that the deal will come soon, perhaps at some point this week, given that according to the club reports, Garcia is increasingly leaning towards Barcelona's offer. Barcelona in pole position, holding the position against other clubs, especially Man City. Those Premier League clubs are, different every single time. Bournemouth, Villa, Arsenal, United, now City. It's just all over the place. Garcia is in constant contact with his agents, especially among them is Jaime Lopez. Barcelona predicts that the decision will be communicated at some point this week, although some sources outside the club think that an approval has already been received by the club. Shortly after this, Joan Garcia spoke yet again to the media. I mean, he's just been speaking way too much to the media. He came out asking about the transfer rumors, saying, look, I'm quite isolated. It reaches you, but it's something that I can't control. I'm very calm, and I hope I continue like this. He then asked if he would leave Espanyol for a direct rival, and he said, in the end, in football, every 2 by 3 news is coming out, things are coming out, and hence it's a reality. I'm not always like that, but well, I'm telling you, I'm very calm, and I'm sure I'll think a lot about what must be decided with the people and choosing what's best for me, and I'm sure it'll be done like that. And when he's going to take the decision about his future, look, it's not just up to me, it depends on the clubs, obviously on me as well. Whatever I decide, whatever it is, I will do it with 100% convinced, without any doubt, and if it take a little bit longer, so be it, but I will do it when I am 100% convinced. On the topic of being a starter being important to him, he said, look, all players want to play. I've just started, and I've only been playing for a year and a half, and I want to keep going. There are a lot of factors to consider, but for me, being so young and motivated is really important to keep playing. It's basically saying that yes, being the #1 is an important factor to me. Then finally, after this interview late last night, Fabrizio Romano came out saying that Premier League clubs are still pushing to sign Joan Garcia, but Barcelona are the clear favorites as of now. This week will be key to close the deal, and Barcelona are still waiting, as Garcia is an Espanyol player and both teams are city rivals. Garcia wants to give them clarity on his future as soon as possible. He also confirmed that Barcelona will pay the €25 million release clause in full immediately when Joan Garcia gives them their approval. And he also mentioned as well that what will happen with Joan Garcia is still unknown. The club will also decide whether to bring him in as a starter or sign him and then send him out on loan and keeping Ter Stegen and Szczesny for 1 more year. What's clear at the moment is that the club do really want him. Everything that we're hearing is that he's going to be the #1 goalkeeper, which should be the case, but with Szczesny now accepting the renewal, Ter Stegen still having a contract in Barcelona, it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see how the club will handle it. What we've been told, again, from the media is that Joan Garcia is coming in as a #1, and Szczesny has accepted and is happy to be the #2 next season. So it's quite clear who needs to go, and we'll talk about him later on, but this would be a huge signing for Barcelona. I'm expecting that this week we will get some sort of indications from the players' camp. Again, we're the only ones, twerking for him. We're doing everything we can. We're advancing negotiations as well. I've told you this guy, of course, a few days ago. I'll say it again. Personal terms are already agreed. It's just now down to Joan Garcia saying yes or no. Everything has been agreed with in terms of the contract, the length of it, the conditions, and the details of it. Just now down to the player saying yes or no. And like Joan Gamper said a few days ago, if he was playing for any other club in the world, he probably would have said yes by now. It's because he's playing with Espanyol. He's going to take some time to decide, of course, all the circumstances, all the different outcomes and stuff like that. But this would be a huge signing for Barcelona. I mean, I was saying at the end of this past season when we were playing, Villarreal and Valladolid and, Espanyol and Athletic Club, if we go into next season with Ter Stegen as number 1, we are royally cooked. We will not do anything next season of note. This, of course, changes that whole perspective. And the fact that we're now moving our goalkeeper signing that we plan to have in 2027 to now shows not only how poor Ter Stegen has been, but shows how active Barcelona is as well in keeping aware of what this team really needs. This, for me, could be and probably will be, in my opinion, the signing of the summer. I've not wanted a player more than Joan Garcia. The last time I wanted a player like this much was Jules Koundé back in 2022. Maybe a bit of Nico Williams last summer. I thought he was, perfect for what we needed, but I wouldn't really torque for Nico Williams. Nico Williams kind of falls into that, category of, Verratti and De Ligt, back when they were at Ajax and PSV respectively. Those kind of players that really fit our mold that we never got. But Koundé was the last player I felt like I would do anything to get, and I feel the same way of Joan Garcia. So we'll see how things do play out over the next 48 hours or so. I'm expecting a decision to be at least before Friday, hopefully not on Friday because that's Eid. I don't want no news all day. I don't want to chill on Eid, so we'll see what happens. But Joan Garcia, everything's now agreed, just now waiting for his final yes or no. Now, alongside the goalkeeper signing, the second priority that will probably drag out for the majority of the summer for Barcelona will be the signing of a left winger. Alongside a goalkeeper, we are also desperate for a new winger to come in to provide coverage and competition for both Rafinha and Lamine Yamal. Again, the priority for Deco, the sporting director, has always been Luis Diaz. We have some updates on all the wingers that we have been following. First, on Luis Diaz, Fernando Polo came out saying that Deco isn't fully convinced by Marcus Rashford and sees Luis Diaz as the better option, believing the Colombian can deliver a more immediate impact. Joan Gamper came out saying that Deco doesn't just like Luis Diaz, he adores him, but it's not easy because of Barcelona's financial situation. Of course, the transfer fee, like I told you guys before, I think we have probably maybe 190 million to spend. He's going to be costing, say, 75 to 80. So that's basically your whole entire budget blown away out of proportion. And, of course, his wages as well. I will say this. Luis Diaz and his wife have been moving mad on social media. They're just sending out, goodbye letters and stuff to Liverpool, like they're guaranteed to leave. We've also been hearing that Al Nassr, the team of Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia, are also showing some strong interest in Luis Diaz as well. Now, TV3 have come out saying that Luis Diaz is still Barcelona's priority signing this summer, but if they cannot sign him, they will go for Nico Williams. Now, we heard, of course, a few days ago from Toni Fernandez, the Nico Williams folder is kind of closed, but it seems to be reopening. Joan Gamper even came out saying that there is still some interest in Nico Williams from Barcelona, and I think he's probably the best option that's on the market that's feasible. I understand that he rejected us last summer, but if the club want to say firmly, the train only comes by once kind of thing, then I'll back it. But I know he's Spanish, and I see a lot of people say that, oh, Joan Garcia is Spanish, Nico Williams Spanish, why are we only signing Spanish players? I get that. But when they're just so perfect, it's just, hard to ignore. If there was a Nico Williams profile in the Premier League, for example, he played for Ecuador, I'll be twerking and, screaming for him as well. And a lot of people will be doing that. There's always players that Barcelona fans love, they'll push for, then the club, of course, will look at it. And Nico Williams, for me, is one of those that just fits the mold to perfection. It's hard to, ignore that, especially for his price as well. I'm hearing that apparently he would ask for quite big wages. That's why the deal is seen as expensive, because Luis Diaz would have a high transfer fee, fairly, fair/lower wages, but Nico Williams would have, a cheaper transfer fee, 60 million, still a lot, of course, and then have a higher salary. So all of these are different perspectives. We've also been linked with Rafael Leao a little bit as well from Joan Gamper. He came out saying that Jorge Mendes mentioned Rafael Leao's name during a meeting with Barcelona when they were discussing, of course, the renewal and the future, or renewal of Lamine Yamal and the future of Ansu Fati. The Rafael Leao name was mentioned on the table. The name seems pretty far-fetched, especially when he's going to be costing more than probably Luis Diaz and Nico Williams. I think AC Milan probably want around 90-80 for Rafael Leao, and Luis Diaz probably 70-80, and then you have Nico Williams at 60, so it doesn't really make too much sense. But of course, as of right now, the most affordable option is Marcus Rashford. Toni Fernandez come out saying that Rashford has gone from a backup plan as a serious option for Barcelona after his agent met with Deco a few days ago, which we already covered on the channel. While Luis Diaz is still Deco's favorite, Rashford is seen as a more realistic and affordable choice due to the club's finances, and Barcelona sees a loan with a buy option as the most likely formula. Rashford is motivated to join Barcelona and is willing to lower his salary to make it happen. Flick likes his speed and versatility. United may have covered part of his wages, with Rashford pushing for a Barcelona or nothing move. Of course, Rashford appointing Fini Zahavi as his agent is absolutely massive. Toni Fernandez also came out saying that Barcelona is planning to sign Rashford if they fail to generate enough FFP to sign Luis Diaz. Barcelona will try for a loan, although United are pushing for a permanent deal, and Rashford is considered to fit the profile, although not for 40 million euros that I mentioned United are demanding. Rashford himself is going to, of course, reduce his wages. Everything indicates that if United gives in, it will do so in the summer, and only if it sees that Rashford is saying no to all their proposals except for Barcelona. So the positive thing about Rashford is that Toni Fernandez did mention that Barcelona will openly and happily pay a fee for Luis Diaz, but they will not pay a fee this summer for Rashford. And that for me is the most important thing. You want to keep Rashford as that, cheap option, that's fine. Paying 40-30 million for Rashford for me this summer makes no viable sense. He's such a risky player in the sense of his mood, his morale, his confidence, the way he approaches life, approaches the game as well. I don't mind Rashford. I think, I'd rather have a lot of players over Rashford, and I get the club see him as a cheap option, which again, that's should be his standard. He should be a cheap alternative option. If that becomes the case, we can definitely go for him. Who would I want out of the two? I think honestly, Rashford, I think prime, if we're talking like prime Rashford, prime Luis Diaz, I probably would take prime Rashford over prime Luis Diaz. Well, of course, we're talking about now. Rashford who just spent half season on loan at Villa, or Luis Diaz who helped Liverpool win the Premier League and played well over the course of the season. I would of course favor Luis Diaz, but I'd rather have Rashford for 40 million, or so sorry to say even loan with a buy option, than Luis Diaz for 80. So it's different perspective. Now of course we've been hearing a lot of reports about Barcelona having 4 names on their list. We of course know that Luis Diaz and Rashford are one of them. Who are the other names? According to Toni Fernandez, Kingsley Coman and Gabriel Martinelli are seen as fit profiles if neither the option of Luis Diaz or Rashford are viable to reinforce the left wing position. So it looks like right now Barcelona's 4 list of wingers are Luis Diaz, Marcus Rashford, Kingsley Coman, and Gabriel Martinelli. What a shit list that is. Madre mia. Just a bunch of waste suits. Honest to God, it's just, I think in the order we have it probably makes the most viable sense. But again, Luis Diaz just costs too much. It's too much to the point where it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. I think Martinelli has fallen off a cliff. He played well in that, first season where Arsenal got second. Apart from that, he's been absolutely mediocre for them. Coman, if he was for free, okay, but I think he renewed recently with Bayern, so I don't think he's going to be a free agent, but still a good player to say the least. The options are just not that great, if we're being honest. And that's why I still go back to the fact that I think that Nico Williams is still the best option out of the bunch. You look at Gabriel Martinelli, Arsenal probably asked for maybe 50-60 million, same price as Nico Williams. You look at Kingsley Coman, probably going to be cheaper since he's going to have little to no years left on his deal. Then have Marcus Rashford, then you have Luis Diaz. Everything for me points to Nico Williams being the better option. He's probably one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest option out there. Knows the league, knows the language, knows system, knows how to play, knows all the players, will adapt very easily. He was already close to a move last season, probably already looked at the team and understands the philosophy. He's probably spoken to Flick on multiple occasions as well. It just fits like a glove. The player profile, the pace, the 1v1, the width, the natural winger that we do need in the team. It just fits so well. I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, we do have some comments from Deco, who has been speaking to the media recently about Barcelona's plans in the market. First, he asked about number 9, striker. He said that we're not going to sign a striker with Jokeres. He was asked about Jokeres specifically. Jokeres is a good player, but we have Lewandowski. We're not interested in a 9. Then asked on Barcelona's structure and functioning. He said that Barcelona did not have an effective working structure in recent years. I've noticed many shortcomings, and I have prevented it from obtaining the levels of a global benchmark. He then asked on why Barcelona must have a clear structure independent of managers. He said, I want to improve the team from its basic. The club cannot depend on particular coaches. Instead, it should have a proper structure, and the coach either accepts the structure or does not come here, which is why, of course, Flick accepted it. Look, I'm Deco. I run the show. You just gotta make it work, and that's kind of his philosophy. But of course, he confirms no number 9 as well. So we'll wait and see. I'm very hopeful that this TV3 report is true, that if we don't get Luis Diaz, we'll go for Nico Williams. I'd rather have one of these two than Rashford, right? I'll keep that complete. If we try Luis Diaz, we try Nico, both of them don't come. We get Rashford, I can be content with that. But if we go for Luis Diaz, then Rashford, a bit dead in my book, because Nico was gonna have a lot of suitors without release clause. It just basically comes down to convincing him. I think he'll definitely choose Barcelona over any other club in the world, even Real Madrid, even Arsenal, even Bayern, whatever team you want to say. So we'll see how things do turn out. But again, this left wing is gonna be very interesting. We know that the sporting director is of course twerking for Luis Diaz. At this point, Flick has just said yes to everybody. Green light for Rashford, green light for Nico Williams, green light for Luis. He's giving the green light to everybody. I think Flick just wants somebody at this point. So I'll wait and see who the club prioritizes. Again, they're just showing a lot of interest in the Deco likes Luis Diaz. There's been no actual pursuit, no actual movements like we're doing right now with Joan Garcia. So I'll wait and see when those movements do come in. But at this point, guessing what left wing is going to be at Barcelona come the end of the summer is anybody's game. Let's now discuss the players that have been rumored to be leaving Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First up is the main one, the longest serving and captain of the team, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Now, firstly, Raccoon, who of course came out in the early report that said that Joan Garcia is very close to coming to Barcelona. They also mentioned in that report that Barcelona had decided to sell Ter Stegen if they sign Joan Garcia. Barcelona had a board meeting a few days ago, and it was decided in that meeting that the club will sell Ter Stegen if Joan Garcia arrives. Now, Luis Rojo, keep in mind, Luis Rojo is very close to Ter Stegen. He, of course, has been getting all the news about Ter Stegen over the past few years, 100% correct. He came out saying that Ter Stegen does not like the news of his sale, but he prefers to deal with it calmly. He has no intentions of leaving Barcelona. The club's management is now currently considering selling him, as the deal is very complicated. He has 3 more left on his deal, high salary of 20 million euros. It would be difficult for a club to appear willing to pay that salary to the goalkeeper returning from an injury at the age of 33. The sports management's plan for next season is to continue with Ter Stegen and Szczesny while awaiting for Joan Garcia's response. If he agrees, the plan will be to loan him out. That's what he's saying. So this is, for me, when he says this, it means that this is probably Ter Stegen and Ter Stegen's camp's kind of, analysis and thought on the situation. Ben Aid came out saying that Ter Stegen is very upset about the campaign being run against him in recent days. Of course, the hashtag Ter Stegen out. There will be no public reaction from him, but he is upset after seeing all the criticism. Man, you've been having a fucking free ride for 11 years. I mean, like piss off. Now, plenty goal, Sky Germany. Another brief here by by Ter Stegen's camp saying that Ter Stegen is fully aware of the plans to sign Joan Garcia, but he wants to stay as of now. This is a lot of things we're going to hear as of now. For now, he wants to remain the number 1 goalkeeper in the new season. Currently, the market is not being explored regarding Ter Stegen, although Laporta and Barcelona are open to offers regarding him. Should Garcia arrive, it is possible that there may be competition for the number 1 spot, and Ter Stegen, as of now, wants to stay at Barcelona, although Joan Garcia is expected to join at all costs. On the other hand, Szczesny is to be offered a contract extension. Miguel Sanchez of Sports said that Ter Stegen and his camp are upset with the speculation of his future and the Ter Stegen out campaign. The goalkeeper has no intentions of leaving Barcelona under any circumstance this summer. Mundo Deportivo came out saying that looking ahead of the World Cup that will take place in 2026, Barcelona believe that the best thing for Ter Stegen would be to look for another club, as Flick plans to make Joan Garcia the starter if the transfer is completed. So what we're hearing is that the club want to sell him. If we sign Joan Garcia, he'll be number 1. Ter Stegen, of course, does not want to leave. Of course, there is the Nation League Final Four coming up, Germany versus Portugal. Huge game for Ter Stegen. He will be the starter in that game. If he plays well and they win the game, keep a clean sheet, the perspective can change. He drops a sinker, they lose, concedes goals and they lose. His career might be over. And with the game coming up very, very soon, he did actually appear in the press conference representing Germany, and of course the whole entire press conference was asked about his future. These here are direct quotes from the mouth of the first team captain of Barcelona, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. Let's see what he said about his future. Would the rumors that the club want to sell me affect me? No one has spoken to me about this, so I don't know the situation. I'm not worried. I know that I'll be a Barcelona player next year. The confidence there. Then asked if he spoke with Hansi Flick about the situation and the goalkeepers. Are they planning to sign somebody? So on and so forth. He said, look, I haven't spoken to Hansi. There hasn't been any contact in the last few days because I don't see any reason for that at the moment. Nothing has happened that justifies a conversation. We'll come back to that. We always want to sign the best players at Barcelona. That's our objective, whether it's in goal or any other position. For us, it makes no difference. For me, it's always the same. I want to give my best and I want to be on the pitch, and I'll do everything I can to achieve that in the future as well. I think that while I've been playing, I've always been doing well in recent years. What a load of fucking shit. Even the year where you won the Zamora Trophy, where you were absolutely unreal in La Liga, I'll give you that. In Europe, in the Champions League and the Europa League that year, you stunk the gaff up beyond belief. Then asked on being the starting goalkeeper for Barcelona next season. Look, if I remember correctly, and if nothing has happened in the last few hours, we only have 2 goalkeepers right now next season, and Naki and I. Which, to be honest, a bit cocky from Ter Stegen that. He's not wrong. Szczesny, of course, contract is set to expire. He's not announced a new deal yet, and we haven't signed Joan Garcia, so he's not wrong there. But when you watch the video of him saying that, there's a bit of arrogance, a bit of cockiness to him. So basically, we have the competition of these positions, and it's between Iñaki Peña and I, and whoever comes in has to deal with the competition, no matter what. Any player in any position has to deal with that. The same thing happened in recent years. I had great goalkeepers who also had great ambitions, and that's how it should be. Of course, you almost left, buddy. When you had that conversation with Bravo, you're like, oh, I'm going to leave the Man City. But then Man City, then Luis Enrique said no to you leaving. And Man City just went and got Bravo instead. So watch your horses. I want to go back to this quote here. Nothing has happened that justifies a conversation. What does that mean in my opinion? When we sign and officially announce Joan Garcia, that's when Ter Stegen will panic. And that's when Ter Stegen will start thinking, okay, what the hell am I going to do? I got to go figure out my future. I got to speak to Hansi. I got to speak to the Barcelona boardroom, of course. So he's waiting for official confirmations, of course. So once that Szczesny renewal and Joan Garcia signing becomes official, that's when he knows that shit has hit the fan pretty much. But the way the club are approaching this is 100% correct. In the end, if Szczesny has one more year left in him, we know that Ter Stegen is not, ready at the top level. We saw, of course, how well Szczesny did in that 6 months where he did play. It all rows say Joan Garcia number 1, Szczesny number 2. And of course, Szczesny over the past few months has been speaking that, look, next season I'm probably going to be the number 2 if I stay, and I am okay with that. Him accepting his role is fantastic. The reality is that if we go to next season with Ter Stegen at number 1, we are royally cooked. So the club are approaching this to perfection. I think Ter Stegen will act. I think Ter Stegen will leave once we make that signing official, once, things start actually getting into motion and he starts actually panicking. I think he is already low-key panicking based on what he's quote saying. Right now, the only goalkeepers at the club are me and Iñaki Peña, and that's great competition. No, it ain't. Iñaki, you were injured a lot over the past few years. Iñaki had 2 or 3 great runs to become the number 1. Balled it in every single one. He learns from you. He learns from you. Hashtag Ter Stegen out. Keep it going. I think Ter Stegen will leave. I think he, of course, especially I think it being a World Cup year is absolute music to our ears, is the absolute benefit to us. If this is not a World Cup year, I think Ter Stegen would stay and ride the storm. But with it being a World Cup year, his only time being number 1 for Germany, with now Neuer retiring, I think he's not gonna want to waste that opportunity. Do I care where he goes and how he goes? Not really. Just get him gone. So we'll see how things take place over the next few weeks. But once the goalkeeper decisions are made official, i.e. new goalkeeper signing, Joan Garcia or someone else, Szczesny renewal, that's when Ter Stegen will make a move on his future. Now, alongside Ter Stegen, another player that Barcelona fans have been desperately trying to get rid of over the past few years is, of course, Clement Lenglet. And the moment might have arrived. Sport have come out saying that Lenglet is in Barcelona trying to finalize his exit from the club. He wants to get it done before the Club World Cup starts. Following this in Sport, Mundo Deportivo also confirmed that as well as in the negotiations between Barcelona and Atletico are accelerating for Clement Lenglet, as Atletico want the French center back to be available for the Club World Cup. Both parties agreed to resolve the issue soon. Atletico want to keep Lenglet beyond the Club World Cup, and it could happen with either the contract extension of a loan or another year, or even a permanent transfer, with Barcelona receiving compensation and Lenglet reducing his salary in exchange for a long-term contract with Atletico rather than one he is currently on with Barcelona. Also, Luis Araujo of Marca came out saying that Clement Lenglet and Barcelona are negotiating the termination of the French player's contract, which expires in 2026. The talks are difficult as his salary is very high, nearing, of course, 16 million gross. Atletico wanted for the Club World Cup. The termination resolves date is said to be before the tournament starts, and Barcelona would also like to have more room for FFP, which has already become tight, of course, owing on key renewals such as Lamine Yamal. So, of course, getting rid of Lenglet is absolutely fantastic. Of course, having it as early as possible. Of course, Club World Cup starts in 10 days, so we have to get this done in 10 days. No matter how he leaves, I will take it. Transfer fee, loan, contract extension, let him go for free with, buy on, future sell on clauses and achievements and stuff like that. No matter how we get rid of him, getting rid of him is the most important thing. Of course, in the best way, in the best possible position for Barcelona would be, of course, the most beneficial. But this is a sale I've been waiting for years and years. Since I started this YouTube channel, we've been trying to get rid of Lenglet. 5 years later, it's looking like it can become a strong reality. So hopefully Barcelona do work hard on this deal to get the best they can. Most important thing, of course, not giving Lenglet too much money to let go of him on a permanent basis, and hopefully Atletico can maybe give us a little bit as well. So we'll see what happens. But again, Barcelona and Atletico both want the Lenglet situation resolved before the Club World Cup begins. Now, one player's future that is very uncertain at the moment, but a decision is needed quite soon, is on the future of Pablo Torre. Mundo Deportivo have come out saying that even though Pablo Torre wants to stay, the club isn't sure he'll get much playing time next season, but he wants to impress Hansi Flick when preseason starts on July 13th. Barcelona sees potential in him, so if he goes on loan, they'll likely extend his contract. If they sell him, they want to have, of course, a buyback option in there as well. Porto, who of course put a bid in, had big interest from him in January, is no longer an option for him, but Mallorca and possibly Racing Santander remain interested. Of course, Racing Santander, his former team. If you were going to get rid of Pablo Torre, especially on loan, it has to be to a La Liga club. Well, the hell we send him to second division, third division, Racing Santander for? There's going to be no development there whatsoever. But I fully agree with Barcelona here. Definitely, he's good enough to play this club. They're just not going to get that many minutes. If you want to develop and continue his career, it's best to move him on. And I agree, either a loan, if you do loan him, of course, extend his contract, or and then if of course you do sell him, get a good fee for him, put a buyback clause in there. I think we bought him for about 5 million plus like 10 in variables. I don't know if those 10 in variables were cheap, but I'd sell him maybe for 10 or 15, had the buyout back option be like 25, 30. So that means that team that we do sell him to can double their money if we do end up buying him back. That's what I would do personally. I also put a clause in there that if he goes to a La Liga club, he cannot play against Barcelona, or if they want to play against Barcelona, they have to pay a penalty like 300k or whatever that may be. So I think the situation in future Pablo Torre is very clear. Unfortunately, it's not at Barcelona, just now finding out the best resolution elsewhere. Loan, sale, whatever it may be. Of course, where we do loan him will be a very, very interesting case as well. Hopefully it's a top division team, whether it be La Liga, Premier League, Serie A, Bundesliga, League, just has to be a top division team in my opinion. So we'll wait and see what happens with the future Pablo Torre. He's very adamant to stay. We'll see if he sticks around till preseason. We still of course have a month to go, but this one can definitely be decided that I can see, like, you know, in August, where he does preseason, see how he does, see how the squad looks, you know, Bernal coming back and stuff like that. Do we have any long-term injuries from preseason or the Nation League as well that can also have a big effect? So I can see this one being a late decision, but I think the decision should be very, very clear going into preseason. Now, one player who will be continuing at Barcelona next season is Ronald Araujo. Fernando Polo of Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona does not want to sell Araujo. Flick and Deco both are clear on this. Stats indicate he's one of the fastest center backs in the world. Plans are being made for him to adapt to Flick's model of football. Barcelona admits that Araujo hasn't had the best season. However, they also detect that Pau Cubarsí's huge surges has unfairly negatively impacted Araujo. There have been moments where he should have been more decisive. However, there are some positive moments also in his favor. He's considered a much better player than Jonathan Tah, who Barcelona tried to sign to replace him. That all makes sense, right? We renewed him, we gave him a big contract, long-term deal. Is Araujo better than Jonathan Tah? I think if you analyze attributes and stuff, absolutely. But moments on the pitch, there is an argument there to be had, in my opinion. But I think that Araujo, he's a good defender, great in 1v1, absolutely rapid, you know, aerially, ground duels. Just that his football IQ is wank. I mean, his reading of the game, his passing in terms of long distance is absolutely terrible for a Barcelona level center back as well. But I think with a bit of training, you know, of course this season was hard for him coming. He was injured for the first half, second half. He spent the first month negotiating a contract with Barcelona. Then of course the Inter game as well. He's not had a good run in the Champions League over the past 2 years, but hopefully I think that, like I said, I would keep him for this season in my opinion, but this season for me is, you know, essentially do or die. Also, Franco Rasmussen Sport confirmed this as well, saying that Hansi Flick has told Araujo that he will be an important player for him next season. The Uruguayan is ready to fight for a starting spot and prove his worth. Araujo was very touched by all the criticism he received after the semi-final against Inter. He wants to show that he's one of the best center backs in the world. He's confident that Flick will help him to adapt to the new style of play the German wants to implement. So again, same thing there. So quite clearly a brief here from Araujo's camp in Barcelona that Araujo will stay. Unless someone comes in last second and activates his release clause, the club will not force to sell him. The club will not put him on the market. They will not offer him elsewhere. The only way Araujo leaves is someone activates his release clause, and Araujo says yes. I don't think Barcelona will beg Araujo to stay if his release clause is activated. They'll say, you know what, you make the call. You want to leave. You want to stay, we're happy to keep you. But like Araujo's been saying a lot in the media recently, I'm one of the second captains of the club. Like, if Ter Stegen leaves, which is most likely, Araujo will go into this season as a club captain. Joan Gamper, which we'll talk about in a few seconds, who's gonna give the captain speech? Most likely right now, on track, is the Uruguayan. So stuff like this keeps players motivated, keeps players wanting to stay as well. If I'm definitely saying to go down in history as being a club captain of Barcelona for at least a season. That's like a rarity. Like the last few captains have been Ter Stegen, Roberto, Busquets, Messi, Xavi, and then it was like Puyol for like 10 years or so. Like, you know, it's a small kind of, especially in my lifetime as well. So I see Araujo staying unless someone goes crazy and activates his 65 million euro lease clause. It's only 65 million for like the first week or 2 weeks of July, then after that it goes to 80. So we'll wait and see on Araujo. But the plan for the player and for the club is for him to be part of the team next season. Another player who also confirmed that he will be staying at the club next season is Robert Lewandowski. Speaking with Bild during his summer vacation, I think it was at Formula 1 or whatever he was doing. He was asked on his future, he said, look, for me, it's not even a topic. I will be at Barcelona next season. I'll stay at Barcelona for sure. I want to win everything, even more than I've already won, more than 30 titles in my career. I'm sure our team will be stronger next season than it is now, which again is quite clear. We were going to keep him. He had a great season, 45 goals, I think 48, 49 GA as well. Seeing the drop off will be very, very interesting, but he's of course unbelievably fit. It's just that his overall game has quite clearly died. We've seen, especially in those last few months, but he was just coming back off with injuries. Maybe that's a little bit of an excuse for him. But look, the reality is that there's so many teams right now looking for a striker. The striker market is very, very hard. I think Barcelona maybe will wait for Erling Haaland and Isaac to be maybe a year into their deals, a year cheaper, stuff like that, for when Lewandowski wants to call it quits. I don't think there's a player out there. Of course, the striker market, you have Gyökeres, you have Šeško, whoever it may be, but there's so many clubs wanting those players that their price will be inflated, and they're not someone that screams like, oh, that's the Barcelona striker that we need. Good players for sure, but not someone that I would be twerking for and dying on the hill for. So once that player does arrive, we can do that then. I think Lewandowski does have one more year left in him. I think this will be his final season at Barcelona for sure. We'll see if he goes down as a Barca legend. We'll see how well he does this season. Will he put us, more than 20 goals? Will he become the starter, then drop down a little bit? We'll also see who we sign the left wing as well. If it's Luis Diaz, he can definitely maybe push Lewandowski. We'll see how well Ferran does in his penultimate season following his, great, 19 goals and 7 assists from last season. What was that, like 26, 27 GA? But Lewis A for next season is pretty much guaranteed. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past 48 hours. First, in regards to preseason inclusion, a player that will be part of the first team preseason camp is Toni Fernandez. Sport came out saying that Toni Fernandez will start preseason with the first team. Flick has spent the week meeting with the young player who will start preseason with the senior squad. Toni knows that he has a big chance to earn a spot with the first team next season. Gilly won't be for now, but it's possible others from the youth setups could join later, especially with the fact that you're expecting Ansu to leave. You're expecting Pau Victor to leave as well. Daniel Rodriguez is supposed to be getting that spot, but he's now injured. Huge opportunity here for Toni Fernandez. Of course, last preseason, he was really used as a squad player, barely came in, of course, scored that penalty, win the penalty shootout against Man City last preseason, but now I think he'll have a bit more prominent role, especially with other players having a bit extended vacation with the Nation League taking place this week, but he could have an opportunity here. I think the plan was always to sign a winger, then have that fourth winger to be from the academy. We know that Flick was a big fan of Daniel Rodriguez. Dislocated shoulder, he'll be out until August, September, so big chance here for Toni. The ball is in his court. It's now down to him to take that opportunity. Now, there has been a new member of the first team incorporated recently, not a player, but a manager. Having been from AS came out saying that Gabriel Martinelli has probably been appointed as the first team communication manager at Barcelona, a position till now vacant. He'll manage communication coming out of the locker room. He was the former director of communication at the Banc Sabadell for 30 years, and his name was linked with Barca in 2021, also after Laporta assumed the presidency. So he'll be taking that position. I think probably Carlos Naval was probably doing the job as a communication manager, but now we're going to have someone coming in doing that specific role. I'll wait and see if this is actually a call from Flick or not. Once he comes into the role and see how well he does and how we see him more often, then that news will come out. But a new member of the team hopefully will make things a bit easier and a bit smoother around the first team. Now, one of the craziest news that has come out recently has been the fact that our last season's kit, the 24-25 season, is by far the best-selling home kit in the club's history. Memorabilia on Twitter came out saying that the home kit of the 24-25 season has achieved unprecedented success, becoming the most popular and highest-selling kit in the club's history. This extended design, rooted in our rich heritage and vibrant spirit, has resounded deeply with supporters across the world. Furthermore, sales figures reveal a significant discrepancy when compared to the home kits from the previous seasons, 08, 09, 10, 11, and 14, 15, underscoring the exceptional demand of this season's kit, which has surpassed all previous benchmarks. This has been the best-selling kit in the club's history, probably rightfully so. I think the design of it is a 10 out of 10. Just sucks that we didn't achieve a 10 out of 10 season. Maybe a lot of people do think that. I probably think that as well, but just that one trophy eluding us. But having a very successful season with one of the best kits cannot go wrong, and I think this kit will be known in their history books. I also think in terms of actual design, I think my favorite is the 2020-2021 season, the one under Koeman, his first season. In terms of design, I really do like that. I think the whole collection of those three, the black kit, the pink kit, is probably my favorite collection. But this home kit, alongside that one, alongside I would probably say the 10-11 and probably 08-09 are like my most favorite as well. Like this one is just simple, it's cool. I think them making the Spotify logo much bigger and taking away the Spotify, the words, was an absolutely unbelievable decision. Of course, at the time, you can look at my videos, I'm thinking, what the hell, that looks so weird, bring back Spotify, because I just used to Spotify. But now when you get used to this, you do realize that this looks much better. So we'll see. Of course, next season's kit should be announced officially probably quite soon, I would say within the next few weeks, but this season will definitely be one for the history books. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss for the end of this video is in regards to our Joan Gamper opponents. Of course, the opponent always comes out around this time of year, around the first few weeks of June. And as of right now, according to Sport, the most likely team is going to be Cesc Fabregas's combo, which will be a good game. I think the reason for this, of course, is to probably honor one of their players who left Barcelona quite rapidly and unexpectedly at the time, in Sergi Roberto. This will be, of course, not forget, the first game, most likely, inshallah, hopefully, the first game back at the Spotify Cup. Now, some reports are saying the capacity for that game will only be around 25,000-30,000. They'll have, of course, 50,000 to 60,000 once the season starts, but for that game, it might just be 25,000-30,000. I don't know how they're going to have that game be 25,000-30,000, then a week later, double it to 60. We'll wait and see. Maybe that's just early reports as of right now, but this, again, expected to be the first game at the Spotify Cup. Now, Como, Cesc Fabregas, former Barcelona player, Sergi Roberto, former Barcelona player, Alex Vai, former Barcelona player as well. But I think this Sergi Roberto will get a bit of a, honoring a show and maybe give him a plate with a shirt on it with some trophies, and the fans will clap him and stuff like that. I do expect that for Roberto, but a good opponent. Won't be an easy affair whatsoever. Of course, last season we lost our Joan Gamper match for the second time in my lifetime, first time in God knows how long. I've seen two losses: 2012 Sampdoria, and of course last season against Monaco. Let's hope this is not another loss. But again, Joan Gamper is always a great ceremony, always a great game before the actual season starts. And again, most likely as of right now, our opponents will be Bomo. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past 48 hours. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course in the comments down below as well, let me know your thoughts on everything we did discuss. The main thing I want to firstly, of course, is your thoughts on the move for Joan Garcia, coinciding, of course, with Ter Stegen. Would you sell Ter Stegen no matter what? Joan Garcia, how you think about that? If we don't sign Joan Garcia, what goalkeeper would you sign? And you think Ter Stegen, will Ter Stegen end up leaving, walking on his own terms, making it easier for Barcelona? Thoughts on that? Secondly, on the left winger, who would you pick? Rashford, Nico Williams, Martinelli, Coman, Luis Diaz. Who would be your favorite option, and who do you think Barcelona will get? And finally, your thoughts as well on the future of Araujo. Are you in favor of him staying, or would you rather someone else come in, pay the release clause, and let him walk? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care, and Forza Barca. Yeah.